consultants, we got experts, we have people who are ready to make sales on social media. I'm wondering in the content, tell me how many times a week are you consistently posting on social media? Give me a number right there in the comments. And I ask you this because ultimately, and we're going to cover a lot of stuff in this workshop, but it's going to be quick. It's going to be only the information you need. We only give you what you need here, but ultimately, consistency is everything when it comes to social media. I love it. We got some 5s, some 6s. Oh, this is so good, you guys. This is great. This tells me that you're actually posting on social media, but you're not getting as many clients as you want. Let me ask this question for you, okay? Are you getting a lot of leads, a trickle of leads, or no leads from social media? Give me a 3, 2, 1, or that. Lots of leads, little leads, or no leads from social media. Please tell me right there in the comments. 0, 0, trickle, 3, 0, little to almost none. Well, this workshop you are in the right place. Now, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've given workshops like this hundreds of times. And just a spoiler alert, okay? Warning, warning. What we deliver here is not sexy, like go and make viral content. Instead, it's what works. It's the basics. It's what you need to know. And though I said basics, okay, I know it seems like you guys are very well versed in social media. I mean, when we go back to the basics, that is when you can start winning on social media. So many people think social media is just about holding up a camera, posting some videos, crossing their fingers that they will actually get clients. But a nuanced approach with the basics for social media is really where you want to be. So this workshop is not for beginners. It is for business owners who are already getting results for clients. You've probably already been posting consistently, obviously, here in the comments. Maybe you've hired a VA, maybe you've hired an agency like myself, and it still really wasn't generating results. It didn't sound like you, and it just felt like more noise out there in like the social media. There's a lot of noise going on. Now, something else I want to cover before we really dive into the training is the current economy. So out there on social, everybody's on social. Everybody's making noise on social, and it is getting a little bit competitive. Not even a little, it's getting a lot of competitive because like even my 8-year-old wants to be on social media. So they're posting and there's so much content. And this is what you need to know is that the businesses that win in this economy aren't the ones that are the loudest and posting the most. They are the ones that actually make content that builds authority, it builds expertise, and it builds desire. And that's before any sales calls actually happen. The way we teach social media and what you're going to be learning here on day 1 is that the content that actually works is the content that does a lot of the selling before you ever get on Zoom. I mean on the Zoom or the phone call, however you like to handle those phone calls. So if your VA or your team or you got your friend ChatGPT really unable to produce that content for you, and because it doesn't sound like you, it's not generating content, and I'm not here to tell you that you need to be doing this content, then this workshop is for you. You need to have a strategy going into social, and we'll be giving that to you today. Now, summer, it's a real strategic advantage, okay? Most of your competitors, they're leaning back and they're on vacation and they're not doubling down on social. And so social is really summer is really the best time to start your social media campaign. So I know Shauna brought it up. It's already June 9th. It's crazy, but this is what you need to know about social media right now in summer is that what you do now and utilizing the principles and what we'll be teaching you in this workshop, it will result in your quarter 3 and quarter 4 pipeline, those sales that occur in the pipeline later on in the year. So if you're a coach or you're a consultant, you're a service provider, you want to take those relationships and make real relationships and real customers on social, this is exactly what we're going to do today. So my team introduced me. I've been doing this for 20 years. Our specialty is done for you social media for high ticket clients. And if you're out there trying to get high ticket clients on social media, we are the perfect place for you to be. We're going to go over our unique process right here over the next 3 days. So put it on your calendar. So today is day one. Why your content isn't generating sales and how to fix it. If this sounds like maybe a problem that you're having, maybe you're posting a lot of content, I see it in the comments, but it is not producing those results. Today, I will help you understand why that is. And so it all starts with, I'm just reading some comments here. It all starts with most content that people post on social media. And I want to know in the comments if this sounds like you. 1 second here. If you can resonate. I lost my screen. 1 second here. I'll even give you some elevator music. Most people's content out there on social, and I want to see some yeses in those comments if this sounds like you, is either too generic. You're like covering too much ground. Nobody sees themselves in your content. It speaks to just everybody. You're not really dialed in. This is a huge problem when it comes to posting on social media and not getting any sales. This one's tricky, okay? Too self-focused. We're used to like this influencer mindset. So there's a big difference. And I was on Netflix last year, so I understand the difference between influencer and business owner. There is a big difference between posting on social media like an influencer and posting on social media like a business owner. Influencers are self-focused. They're talking about themselves. They feel like people want to see them. And that's true. That's a business model all on its own. But if you are a business owner, it is so essential that you keep your end client in mind. And I'm going to tell you how to do that. I know you've been to niching exercises. I know you've heard niching before, but we're diving in even deeper. Niching is the beginning. What we're teaching today is how it's really done. And the third problem for most content is most people don't speak to outcomes. They're only speaking, they generically just share stuff on social media. But let's go into some examples, okay? Let's just stop talking and let's start sharing some examples. So we serve a lot of real estate agents. And this is what like a before would look like for a real estate agent. I know I have some real estate agents here. Hello, real estate agents. Nice to see you. But before, okay, when you're not broad and you're doing all those things, it might be like this: 3 tips for a smooth home selling process. Now, after you implement what you're going to learn today and how you really become more specific and really calling into your target market, then it sounds like this. Before you list, 3 pre-inspection issues we flagged that help our sellers avoid $25K in price reductions. This is a hardcore solution. We know who we're talking to because we know they want to avoid that $25K. And this brings you out and makes you stand out from the crowd. Let's go into another example. A private investigator. We serve some private investigator clients over here. Okay. So before, this is what it looks like before you dial in. 3 tips for a smooth home selling. Oops, I didn't update that slide. My bad. Let me tell you what it is. Okay. Oops, I don't know where my slide went, so I'll just talk to you about it. So before, the private investigator would say, when I started my PI firm, I had no clue how hard it would be. And so then that is very self-focused. It doesn't matter to the client. The client doesn't really care. But how we want to be posting that afterwards is a CEO is suspected of IP theft. We uncovered the breach in 48 hours without alerting internal staff. $1.2 million protected. Suddenly, it is about the other person, the person on the other side. And that is what you really want to be doing on social media. Do you see the difference? We are told do storytelling on social media, but then we only make the stories about ourselves. And this is very typical. It is not your fault, but it is what most people do. Let's dive into a third example, a leadership consultant. We serve a lot of leadership and business consultants. They may post on social media something along the lines of great leadership equals emotional intelligence. You're talking at people. You're not talking with people. And then instead, they would say something like this. We helped a director land a VP title in 90 days. That's how you really start becoming very clear in your content so that your audience will see themselves in your content and will actually understand your expertise and why you could stand above the noise. So, how do we do this? Say yes in the comments if this is making sense. I love seeing those yeses. And hello on social media. We are streaming on LinkedIn and YouTube. We are streaming everywhere. So, how do we resolve this? Well, I know you've been to niching workshops before, right? Like your niching and your avatar and your ideal client profile is probably gathering digital dust in your Google Drive somewhere. And that is what happens when most people are niching down or developing their ideal client. And I know you all do. I know that you all have that. You wouldn't be this far in business unless you had a really clear idea of who you are serving. But we see a real gap here in our agency as we serve clients, and it's called the niching gap. You think you're niche down, you know who you serve, but your content, it still falls on deaf ears. And so this is what the niching gap looks like. There are 3 levels. And so when you do your ideal client and you're kind of running on that and that's how you're doing it, but it's not really clear on social media, we call that conceptual clarity. You have this concept. This is where most people will stop. They can tell you the industry, the job title, all the demographics like I work with leaders or I help small business owners. But the content, it still sounds really, really vague. It doesn't convert. And why? Well, that is because it is not emotionally precise. You are not adding any empathy to your content. So the next level is empathetic. That's the next level. You know what your true client believes. You understand what keeps them awake at night. You are actually, and this is very, very important, using the words that they use to you, and you're turning around and using it in your content. You can describe their situation so well that they're actually saying, Lindsay, how did you know that that's how I felt? It felt like you were talking to me. And if that's what you want your social media content to produce, because that's what produce sells, you have to solve the problems that they haven't named yet. And that right there is when your content will start to convert. And I have a little system here that will help you really nail this down. But the third, and I would consider the most important niching gap between that avatar exercise that you did and how you can ramble off the demographics of your ideal client, and it's great that you can, but it's not converting on social media, is that you don't have operational clarity. So yes, you know who your demos are. Yes, you can speak to their ideal client profile because you serve your clients all day long, but this leaves you stuck creating your own content. Or if you try to hand it off to operations, then it doesn't sound like you. It sounds like a bot. It sounds like a VA, and it definitely doesn't convert. And so when you can nail down operational clarity, then your clarity is so dialed in on your ideal client that someone else, a VA, a copywriter, even ChatGPT can create content that sounds like you, and you are no longer the bottleneck. And so we've been doing this for a long time. We do the demographics. That's certainly part of our process. Like, what kind of marketer would I be if I wasn't collecting demographics on my ideal client? But we take it a step further, a more advanced step for our clients. And so if you have those demos, you do want to take it another step, because here's the thing, is those demographics, they're just like they're just a figure. they're not a real person. You don't have any feelings attached to them. And it can be really hard to be really clear about that. So I'm so glad you guys are resonating with this. How we solve that, and it's very simple, is in our agency and as we work with clients, and for me specifically, okay, we do this all the time, is we identify a one true client. Now, this is different than all those messaging and all the demographics that you outline. Is what we do is we look at in all of the people that we serve, okay, who is our ideal client? That one client that if we could make cookie cutter versions of them, we would be so happy. We could get results. We would have really great clients, clients that would pay us, clients that would get results, and our lives would be really awesome. And so we take that one true client and we put it on a Post-it note, okay? And in all of our operational documents, we are constantly referring to them, and it's a real live person. It is not a Frankenstein version of two different people, the way that you kind of liked Bob's results, but Sally paid you really well. No, this is one ideal client that you have actually served. Now, something else that people will try to slip in is they'll try to slip in themselves. They think they can market to themselves. They think they are their ideal client. But the fact is, you can't market to yourself. You know too much about it. You think you're way too brilliant, and you're really too far in to really understand it. So the key here, and when you want to reach empathetic and operational clarity and really bridge that niching gap, is to literally select one ideal client that you work with and put their name on a Post-it note, as I have demonstrated here. Because if you do not, okay, and here's the thing, we've worked with lots of people and we've done the ideal client and we've done the one true client with them, and still when they get on social media, they still talk to a really broad audience. This is something that you will cognitively do unless you are physically reminding yourself every single time you go on live. Even me, who've done hundreds of lives and hundreds of videos, I still have my ideal client on a Post-it note to remind me to channel in and to remember who I'm talking to. And when I go to social media and make any posts or have my team make any posts, I make sure that that post is targeted to that single person. And this buys you two things. The first thing it buys you is clarity and specificity and talking to those really great problems that make people feel like that they can see you. That's number one. And number two, when you show up on social, speaking to a person like one-on-one, because you guys are all single right now. There are plenty of people at this workshop, but as I'm sitting here looking at you, it's a single person. It's a 1-2 shot, and it really pays off on social media. Let me show you an example of a client, a real life client of ours that is getting results on social media, a little bit before and after here. This is awesome, Rocky. And before he does his ideal client, he knew who he served. He served hundreds of people. He's so great at what he does. He spoke on some of the biggest stages. He's a leadership consultant working for some of the biggest brands. And he was doing before he met us what most people do on social media. So keep in mind, Rocky's ideal client is a high-level CEO executive that wants to make sure they have a balanced life and they are really nurturing all parts of their life. But when Rocky would go out to social media, let's look at a couple of these. Big changes start with small step. What's your next move towards the life you want? Doubt might tell you you're not enough, but joy knows your true worth. Let's listen to joy. Allow yourself to fail, embrace it, and learn from it. These are awesome posts, no doubt. But when we flipped the script with Rocky and we said, envision your ideal client, and he envisions his ideal client. He's worked with him, he understands his problems, and he understands his client. We said, would they resonate with that? Would they like that? Would failure or big changes starting with small steps or doubt really resonate with them? Is that really what they want to hear? Now, here's the problem with these posts is that when you post feel good, amazing stuff like that, again, no shade to how awesome those posts are. But Everybody can like those posts. And it's really easy to get behind regardless of where you are in your life. Like you could be a stay-at-home mom or you could be a CEO of some sort and you could like that post. And so it gets really watered down. And so now Rocky's posts, and you can see a real change in this. Now, when we channel in on his CEO Corner Suite office person, then we can really get down to content that speaks to them. First of all, Rocky speaks on a lot of stages, so we have authority content. Rocky is a big deal. He is on many stages. We talk about escaping the success illusion. We talk about the trap of firefighting. We talk about balancing ambition and reality. And so while, I'm just going to use the stay-at-home mom example, she's not going to resonate with any of that. That might scare some of people on social media, right? Like to not post what everybody might like. But when we made this change with Rocky, then all of a sudden he's talking to those corner office suite CEOs and actually attracting them and nurturing the conversations and the clients that he already has. And that is the difference. So every time we support Rocky around generating content, which only actually takes an hour a month from Rocky to get really amazing content that speaks to his ideal client. He works with us for an hour a month on that. And then we create 30 days of high converting content. We are always checking in about who is your ideal client, what is their name, and we're literally saying this person's name as a real life person so we can actually relate to them. So let's do the OTC test. I will answer a couple questions as we finish up here, but here's what you want to know, okay? You know what my one true client believes, not just what they do, not just the demographics. Make sure you know what they believe, what is keeping them up at night. You know the specific result they're trying to achieve, not just like you know what they want. You know the specific outcome they want. And finally, your team or AI can create the content for you without you rewriting it. If you can pass that test, then you're on your way to creating a very, very effective content system. So there's one more part that I actually want to cover today. So we talked about making sure you know your one ideal client, right? That covers the niching gap. And now we want to talk about outcome-based messaging, okay? Most people talk about what they're selling, okay? It's not about what you're selling, okay? Because you're actually selling. This is what you're actually wanting to be selling on social media. You want to be selling speed to trust. Trust me with speed because it takes some time to get people to trust you. You are selling speed to conversion and you're selling confidence in that buying process. And that only happens when your content speaks to outcomes and not just tasks. Let's go over some examples here. So a real estate agent. We help people buy and sell homes. Every real estate agent does. That's not really going to help you do anything on social media. Where when you get really focused in, we help downsizing homeowners sell for top dollar without the stress of surprise repairs or last minute negotiations. This speaks to their pain. This is what they want. This is what you want to be posting on social media. That kind of specificity. Now let's look at an insurance agent example here. We serve a lot of insurance agents. We offer home, auto, and life insurance. Again, most of that content's going to get overlooked there on social media. But the second you start focusing in on your ideal client and saying, we help independent business owners protect their income and assets with insurance plans that actually make sense for how they live and work, then all of a sudden your ideal client is saying, how did she know that I actually need plans that go with my business and my work? So that is how you want to bring it home on social media. That is really the solution for getting so dialed in on your content and bridging that niching gap. So I want to make sure that you leave with an action step today, which is I want you to identify your one true client, somebody you have really, really worked with. I noticed a question out there. What if we've never worked with someone? You still got to go and interview or find someone in your experience that fits your best guess as an ideal client. The worst thing you can do is guess or call it yourself. You want a real person, you want to interview them and really hear the words that they are saying. And the second thing you want to do is know what is the result that this person wants, very specifically, very much in their words. And finally, and there's a difference between doing research and actually hearing the words that they say. So it's the way that this works and the way you're going to nail down niching and the one true client is it's a real person, because that's where it goes from concept to actually empathetic. And that's what actually converts on social media. So that's day one. Why your content isn't converting and how to fix it. You fix it with the one true client method. Tomorrow, we're talking about what 99% of business owners get wrong about social media ROI. And you do not want to miss tomorrow. That's exactly what we're talking about. Don't miss another day of this and go home. Think about your one true client. Don't just think about their title or their industry, which is what research will get you, but really talk to them and understand what they believe, what they're struggling with, and what they're trying to achieve right now. And this best comes from another human being that you actually work with. Okay. And finally, the results they actually want, not your process, not your offer, but what specific outcome do they actually want to achieve? When you get it dialed in like that, well, then your content will actually start to convert when you put that name on a Post-it note and create your content around that. So thank you so much for joining me for day one. I will see you tomorrow for day two. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to turn it over to my team. They're going to answer some questions for you and whatever else you need. Thank you.